And welcome to the Zion Hill Baptist Church, where I am so pleased to be the proud pastor, the Reverend Dr. Anthony A.K. Hodge Sr. As I reflect on this morning and all of the many things we've gone through, it is a moment of excitement and joy, and also a humbling moment for me as I think about the fact that I preached my first sermon here, my introductory sermon, as they were recruiting or searching for a pastor for this great church 6 years ago on October 21st, 2007. The Lord moved on my spirit and we were able to preach Favor Isn't Fair from Genesis, the 37th chapter, where we talked about the life of Joseph. As we've wrestled all week long about what were we going to say to God's people on our Men's Day service, God laid me back where he took me when I introduced myself and the Lord that's in me to this great church in the year 2007. So this morning, we want you to stay tuned as the Lord brings utterance and he reminds us that favor isn't fair. In this year 2013, even with all of the monumental things going on, all of the catastrophes all over this world and country, with a government that was shut down, a fiscal cliff that seems ever closer, God is going to manifest himself and remind his people that no matter what's going on, you may be in the pit, you may be in the Potiphar's house, you may be in prison, that God has a palace waiting on you. Because remember, favor isn't fair. God bless you.
Now you have triple dirt. As life continues to go on, we continue to pick up all this stuff. And it just fills up our little glass. Just all this unclean, unhealthy stuff. And every time we look at the glass, it makes us sick. We can't drink from the glass. God has parked outside of the glass something for you. But guess what? You can't have it until first you empty the glass. Some of you need to come and get your glass. And you need to pour all that garbage out of it, so that the Lord can refresh and put something wholesome in it. And that's the reason some of you thirsty in church, because you don't have no room in the glass. That's why you leave out of here still angry at folk, because you have no room in the glass. I'm glad that I've learned how to empty the glass on you all. That's the reason when I smile at you, I mean to smile. I'm not having an indigestion moment. Some of you, you're really not smiling. You just have gas, baby. And you need to understand that God has something to put in the glass, but you can't get it until you pour out the poison first. Some of you, you even try to have the audacity. It ain't that bad, and you drink from it, and that's why you're angry and you look constipated now, because you're drinking some stuff that's not healthy for you. God is trying to park outside. He got a cold glass of fresh water for you, and you too busy constipated on what somebody did yesterday. You can't change their yesterday, because if you could, you need to change your yesterday. The real hater in the room isn't the other person. Somebody ought to say, I'm the hater in this room. I found out it was some folk whose ministry outgrew mine. They wasn't hating on me. I had to realize I was hating on. Some of y'all don't think it's the other person a hater. It's you a hater. You got to get like the song said, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Found out that folk not hating on you because of what you don't do. Some folk hating on you for what you do. They hating on you not because you can't sing. They hating on you because you can sing. Some folk quit talking to you not because you can't sing. They quit talking to you because you can sing. Some folk ain't hanging out with you because what you don't do is what you won't do for them. There are folk that have assigned themselves away from you because you won't sign up with their foolishness anymore. I've come to the place that when folk call me and want to talk about something, I say, hold on, let me call them. And as quickly they get disconnected. I'm no longer the garbage can for folk. You can't just pull up and park in front of my house, throw all your trash out and think I'm going to clean it up anymore. Somebody need to say, I'm not the cleanup woman no more. Stop cleaning up. I don't want your mess. I'm trying to deal with my own. What your daughter want to see? I'm going to clean up what I messed up. Somebody ought to say it's messed up because I messed it up. Some folk walking around with your bed unmade. Tell me who slept in the bed. You're not the three bears and Goldilocks. You slept in the bed. You need to make up the bed. Run around, tell me who been sleeping in my bed. You've been sleeping in the bed. You need to get up and make the bed. And some of you need to change the sheets. Joseph had a way of looking at things. He didn't let his own personal feelings get in there. He began to say, I have things to do for God, and he wouldn't give up on it. I'm going to come through the woods because I got to get you to meet me where I'm trying to get to. I want you to understand there is a special person inside of you. That's what's in verse 1 through 4. Joseph was different. You have to embrace your difference. Don't be so afraid that you're a little different than other folk. Be glad that God didn't take a cookie mold and make everybody the same. God made you unique to who you are. Joseph was different. If you read the story of his life, it's plain to see that Joseph stood out from his brothers in his commitment, his character, and in his clothing. Somebody ought to say amen. And as a result, his brothers hated him. Don't get mad because folk hate you because you're trying to be holy. It's quiet up in here. My daughters, don't get mad because some boy don't want to be with you because you're trying to hold out for marriage. Somebody ought to say amen up in here. Somebody ought to say, I'm waiting. I'm waiting till after the altar. Because I'm going to tell that rascal, no bed, no bed. Got to have some daughters that's willing to stand on some truths and say, I'm not just sleeping around no more. I'm not having a child out of wedlock. I'm going to hold on until the Lord delivers me the man. Being different socially is not always acceptable. The secret to popularity is to conform to what everybody else does. Some of us just want to be conformists. We're spiritual chameleons. We act any kind of way. If I'm over here, I act like this. And when I get over there, I act like that. But Joseph stood on the truth that God had made him different. Somebody ought to embrace the fact that I'm different. I don't want to smoke dope. I don't want to drink. I don't want to run from club to club. I'm not sleeping with every man that pull up on me. Every door that open, I'm not walking in it. Every car that drive by, I don't have to get it. Somebody ought to say amen. Every girl I see, I don't have to sleep with her. Mama used to say, let some dresses pass without you looking under them. It's quiet up in here. But it got to be some men of valor and some men that say, I'm not going to do that. Some men that say, I'm going to treat her like a queen. See, it's a foolish man that don't understand that if I treat a woman like a queen, it anoints me to be a king. You missed what I just said. I don't have no problem while opening doors, buying stuff, treat my wife like a queen because then I'm anointed to be a king. You missed what I just said. Too many guys want to run around here and be different because you are different. The main reason why you should be different is because you are. God made you an individual. You do not have to conform to the crowd. The crowd mentality is not what God looked for. You have to learn that God made you to be who you are. And if you don't fall into small things, you can serve a big God. I told you earlier, don't major in minor things. I have too many folk calling me angry about minor things. They miss the big picture. They miss that I get the chance to come and serve a big God. I get the opportunity to come and worship a big God. They're too busy looking too low. That's what happened with Joseph's brothers. They looked too low. They looked down at Joseph instead of looking up at God. Every once in a while, you got to quit looking down, baby girl, baby boy, and you got to start looking up because that's where your help is. Your help is not on the ground anymore. My help is in the hills. The psalmist said, I look unto the hills from which cometh my help. All of my help coming from the Lord. I'm tired of looking around. I'm tired of watching folk at the church look down, always talking about what some somebody did to you and what somebody didn't do for you. Look and see what God did for you. Did God do anything for you, baby? Did God do anything for you? Oh, yes, he did. God has been good to me. God has washed my sins away. He's taken my sin, put them in a sea called forgetful. And I don't care how well you remember, I'm glad God forgot about them. Too many folk running around with a scroll telling you who you used to be. I'm glad that they have to tell me, Sister Wainwright, who I used to be. Glad God's the only one that can tell me what I'm going to be. And what I'm going to be is obedient to the will of God. Why? Because favor isn't fair. I look at Joseph as his brothers took him down the pit, put him in the pit. There's something about being in the pit. Some of you enjoy the pit. You've been in the pit so long, you done bought a big screen TV, got a lazy boy chair, and you just in the pit talking about pour me another shot of Hennessy. Because you done got comfortable down in the pit. You know every rock, every crease and crevice of the pit. You're fine in the pit. But I'm glad that Joseph didn't want to stay in the pit. Is there anybody in here that want to get up out the pit? Well, if you want to come out the pit, you got to quit having pity parties. So some of you are always having a pity party, always talking about what somebody did to you. Oh, poor you. Well, God has done more for you than somebody did to you. So why don't you stop having pity parties and start having a praise party? Why don't you get up out the pit and say, thank you, Lord, that you've been good to me. You blessed me when I didn't deserve it. Joseph came about the pit. And the thing about when he came about the pit, he went to Potiphar's house. Some of you are at Potiphar's house right now. Potiphar's house is symbolic of a place where it seemed like you're doing all right, but folk are lying on you. Anybody ever have folk lie on you before? Seemed like you was doing pretty good and folk just had to tell a lie. You know, Richard Pryor had a record and he said him and his buddy Mudbone used to sit around. He said, he tell a lie, I tell a lie. That's the reason I choose not to hang out with liars. But Mama told me birds of a feather. And when folks start telling lies, the next thing you know, you'll start telling one with them. But I want you to understand as he moved out of the pit in the Potiphar's house, because he had some principles that he wouldn't surrender. Potiphar's wife lied and said he tried to rape her. After she tried to come on to him, some folk gonna try to come on to you. And when you don't receive them, they're gonna run and tell lies. They're gonna say you did this and you did that, but look, watch Joseph. He never rebuked the words she said. He allowed God to be his judge. Quit worrying about what folk are saying about you and be concerned what God knows about you. I've quit letting people frame me with their decisions and what they think I am. I'm trying to move to what God knows I am. So as he was in Potiphar's house, and he held on to being the person God called him to be. Then you would think things would get better. And when Potiphar came home, he said, oh, you tried to rape my wife. We're going to get through this thing. And then he took him, put him in prison. And that's where some of us are at. We moved from the pit to Potiphar's house to prison. And in prison, he still had favor. The Bible said they found favor in prison. The same gift that he had when he is back home, God used that gift to get him out. What I stand by to tell you is whatever gift God has given you, it'll free you from wherever you are. God used the gift in Joseph, and Joseph was able to use the gift of interpreting dreams. He interpreted the dreams, and here's what happens. Sometimes when you tell folk the truth, they won't like it. But when he was met by the cupbearer and he was met by the baker, and he told him, he said, your dream means that soon and very soon you will be set free. And guess what? The cupbearer was set free. He met with the baker. He said, your dream He said, I see your head cut off and the birds eating of your flesh. And it came true.